Hey everyone, it's Adrian from the Pageant Project with you, and my special guest for today is Izzy Barisic, who is a Miss Grand Australia finalist. Izzy, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well. How's the weather for you?
Oh my God, it's terrible. It's raining for 10 days straight. So, I love that. Can't wait. How's it going for you?
Well, it's about the same because I think you're in Sydney, right?
Yeah, yeah, Sydney.
Yeah. So I did a little intro Instagram story and outside, and it was pretty soggy. Izzy, for those people watching who aren't familiar with you and your pageant story, do you want to quickly give us the introduction?
Sure. So I am Izzy Barisic. I have been competing since I was 18. My first pageant was Miss Earth Australia. I then continued on to compete in Miss Universe Australia, Miss World, Miss Croatia Australia, and Miss Galaxy, and now Miss Grand Australia.
And what got you involved in the crazy world of pageantry to begin with?
It was actually out of sheer luck. I happened to be attending a runway casting just for a runway show based in Sydney, and it happened to be managed by the Miss Earth Australia manager. And halfway through the runway casting, she had actually just announced that I was now a finalist for Miss Earth Australia, which I never picked myself to compete in a pageant. I always wanted to watching Miss Universe when I was growing up, but yeah, I got into it out of sheer luck and I just loved it from then. I've made some incredible best friends that I'm even traveling overseas with soon. So I think it's been quite the journey.
So you basically just fell into it through luck.
Yeah, absolute luck, but I am so grateful that it was.
Pageantry chose you. What was it that really got you hooked into it? I mean, for some girls, it's the competition. For some girls, it's the bright, sparkly dresses. For others, it's self growth. What particularly got you hooked in?
I think definitely the self-growth aspect. I knew when I was 18, I was incredibly shy, very timid, lacked a lot of self-confidence. So the thought of going up on stage in a bikini was just out of this world to me. But really stepping out of my comfort zone made a huge difference. Really built my growth to go out there and make friends now across Australia and, really believe in myself and boost my self-confidence.
Was there any particular part that you found, especially earlier on in your pageant journey, when you were newer to it, was there any particular part that you found really challenging, given that you said you didn't have the highest level of confidence?
I think the interview aspect was something that I found quite intimidating. Public speaking, I think, is something that a lot of people unfortunately struggle with. But just the thought of sitting in front of a panel of like up to 11 judges and you're just sitting there by yourself,
Mm.
getting questions from every direction is actually such great practice for, when you develop it into your career, when you need to present. So I think it was definitely something that was quite intimidating and challenging for me. But I've now grown my confidence in it and yeah, doing a lot better in job interviews now as well, which is good.
That's handy. Are you able to give us an idea as to how much the pageantry has helped you with your confidence? Like, if Izzy today were to go back in time and meet Izzy before she did pageantry, would you two recognize each other, or have you grown that much?
I don't think I would recognize my old self. I think anyone that even knew me before I competed in pageants would see a completely different person as well. I think for me, it was very hard to sort of approach and make different friends. I think I really kept quite reserved into myself and wasn't really confident enough to make the effort. But now, go up and talk to anyone. I can go up into interviews. I can just feel much more confident in my own self. Yeah.
And Grand Australia is, I think is it 13? How, I'll get you to tell me since you're in it. I'm sure you know. How long is it till you actually have to? I mean, you don't have to travel there. You're in Sydney already, but how long is it until it
Yes.
actually begins?
I think we're going on the Friday. So, oh, what's that? Not next week, week after. So, yeah, about 13 days away. It's very exciting. I'm so keen to see all the girls again.
So how going into it? How are the nerves? Are you someone who just gets excited? Are you nervous at all, or are you just ready to get started?
I think for this one, I'm ready to get started because two of my closest friends are actually competing as well, which is so lucky for me because I'm so excited. But yeah, for this one, I just feel great about it because I feel like this one's a very different structured pageant to what I've been through before. We had the pre-judging weekend just in April,
Mm.
and it was an incredible weekend because it gave us an opportunity to meet everyone before our judging weekend. So now we've made friends, you know, we sort of get to know each other. We had a lot of one-on-one time as well, and we had a lot of understanding of what all the girls have been through, and it's just been beautiful to connect and have that already. Gives me more confidence knowing that, you know, it's like a catch up when I go see them in 2 weeks and just see how they've been.
Mentioned that you were competing with two of your closest friends. Did you meet them through Grand Australia? Did you meet them through another pageant, or did you just happen to know each other before the pageants?
So they're actually both through pageants. So my first one is Danny Buskilla, and she and I met in Miss Universe Australia in 2018.
Hmm.
And then my other girlfriend is Taylor Sharp, and she is from Perth, and I met her at Miss Galaxy back in 2019.
Wow. Okay. So that's good. Getting a chance to catch up with your best friends. Is there a part of the pageant that you're most looking forward to?
The evening gowns, oh my God, they are gorgeous. We got to pick out ours just recently, and I'm obsessed with mine because it's not a color that I would usually go for. So I'm
Yeah.
so excited to wear it on stage.
Now, I don't know if it's quite the same in Australia, but do you guys keep your gowns, like your wardrobe, a closely guarded secret? Or do you post it on social media? I don't know. A lot of people seem to keep it very, very secret.
So with this one, it's half half. So I have posted a few of
Okay.
the dresses I've tried on, and it is one of them, but I haven't said which one.
Okay. Can you give us a hint? Can you give us a hint to color or style? Don't divulge more than you have to. But can you give the people watching or listening, give us a hint?
A hint. It's not a color you would frequently see on stage.
Hmm. That's an intriguing hint. All right, we'll try our best, guys. If you're, I can see a bunch of you watching, so if you have any guesses as to Izzy's gown, she probably won't be able to confirm or deny. But if you have any questions for Izzy as well, put those below. So we've got people watching from. We had Ralph saying hello before. He's actually watching from the United States, and then
Thank
Oscar, who
you.
is a new face around here, is watching from Venezuela. And then
Oh,
Stacey, who runs pageantry now, it's a huge pageantry channel over in the States. She's guessed green, but I won't,
oh.
I won't get you to confirm or deny. But she's guessed green. We've seen a few green ones on stage now, Stacey. I agree we haven't seen much of it on. I would say that the one that I haven't seen a lot of on stage is black. Normally, because a lot of
Mm.
people think that it's difficult to see the black on stage, but it's sort of made a big comeback. But again, I'm not going to get you to confirm or deny. And then, Oscar said, when do you visit Oh, Miss Grand International? Do you happen to know where Miss Grand International would be? Is he on? I'm not sure.
In Thailand this year.
In Thailand. Okay, there you
Mhm.
go. All right. Well, Izzy, your pageant prep. It's not long to go. How
No.
has your pageant prep been? Give us an idea as to how you've been preparing. You've obviously done a few pageants before, so you're not a pageant
Mhm.
novice. How has the preparation been going into Miss Grand Australia?
It's been good. I think I try to take a lot of time to focus on my training and my eating and definitely studying the pageant because as we understand, you know, pageants have different style, whether that be in the swimwear, evening gown, the way they walk and the way they
Mhm.
judge. So studying past winners and developing myself to see what I can take, what I can build into myself and always practicing my runway walk even when I'm on the way to work.
Oh, are you one of those people who runway walks, struts down the street to work? Are you?
Everywhere you have to.
Do you get to wear? I mean, what do you do for your day to day work? Do you get to actually wear heels in your day to day?
Yeah, so my day to day, I'm a financial analyst. So I work in the home ownership services. But on my weekend work, I'm a professional dancer at some nightclubs, backup events, different things like that. So I get to wear heels almost 6 days a week.
Wow. Okay, so you won't be getting sore feet at the pageant. You'll be fine.
No, no, see me all day in them.
Can you give us an idea? Obviously, as you've said, you've done a few pageants before, such as Earth, Universe, and then Galaxy. What was it about how do you feel the Grand Australia advocacy, which is obviously about ending war, has that resonated with you at all in terms of your advocacy?
Absolutely. I mean, we see it now as well, especially with the Russia versus Ukraine war. It's so
Mhm.
prevalent still in this day. And it's shocking to see that still we live in this world. You know, we've had wars going on for years. You would think that we can live in peace, different countries, you know, looking after yourselves, looking after your own country. But unfortunately, it still happens. And with advocacy as well, we are looking after children with Destiny Rescue and helping them from child exploitation and sex trafficking, which is still a huge issue in multiple countries. But unfortunately, there's a lack of awareness around the world. So I think it's a great platform to really advocate for. And hopefully, we can help rescue more children.
Have you been able to meet up with or been given a talk by any of the Destiny Rescue representatives? And I ask that because I think back when Danny, your director, took over Grand Australia, I think it was in the very first year, she actually brought in Destiny Rescue as the official, the charity of choice. And I remember, I can't remember who it was, but they gave us an insight into what Destiny Rescue actually does, and it's absolutely incredible the work they do. Have you been able to have a chat with anyone from Destiny Rescue, or that would be coming during the pageant?
That will be coming during the pageant. We were shown a video and the insight into what they do and how their operations work. So that was a great introduction to it. And we do have access to the manager of it, so we can communicate with her. And they give regular updates on their website and on their Instagram. I mean, recently they had 41 rescues as well. So
Oh,
there's
wow.
frequent updates we have available there, which is great.
And Izzy, if you were lucky enough or fortunate enough to take out the title in a week and a half's time, how would you be using your platform to further that advocacy in terms of promoting peace? As you've already pointed out, there's not as much peace around the world as we'd like, specifically, obviously, in the Ukraine, but other places as well. How would you use the platform to promote peace on a global scale?
Definitely try to spread awareness where I can and try help where I can. You know, if I had the opportunity to represent our country around the world, being able to travel to different countries and help there, help with the education system, whether that could be if I was even given the opportunity to possibly teach valuable skills to young women, even the ones that were rescued, anything that I could do to help, I would love to.
And outside of pageantry, because all pageant girls have a life outside of pageantry, despite what some people think. Can you give us an insight into interests, hobbies, what you do for relaxation or in your free time?
So my interests and hobbies, I am a massive sports fanatic. I love my F1. I love watching it. I love playing a lot of sports. Like I play different sports. I play golf, tennis, a little bit of soccer. And my hobbies, when I get time off, I often go to the gym or I'll nap because, you know, sort of working 6 days a week, you don't really get a whole lot of free time. So I'll catch up with some friends and then you'll catch me putting on some Netflix, but probably falling asleep 5 minutes later.
You're not the first pageant girl who tells me that she loves her sleep. You mentioned a few different sports there. I just want to see. I was a tennis coach, and I play a lot of tennis. I love tennis. I could never get into golf though. Um, in terms of like sports that you love, how what is it about golf that attracts people? Because I there was a friend of mine who said he didn't want to take up golf. He didn't need another reason to swear. And I kind of resonate with that because I find golf incredibly frustrating. It's like that little ball there, and you end up hitting like the grass and everything but the ball. So, what is it about golf that attracts you? Because you're on the younger side. I know a lot of older people will play golf like corporates. It's almost a chance to network. But for yourself, what is it about golf that grabs you?
I think it's just fun. Like I do love a driving range when I go with my friends because I'm quite a bit competitive. So we sort of challenge each other to see how far we can get. But even with going for a round, I think it is quite challenging as a sport because, you have got a lot of measurements and guides that you need to follow. You need to drive it at a certain distance and then hopefully get it as close as you can. It can be a little bit frustrating at times, so you can understand. But yeah, I think just, I love the aspect of like driving ranges. I just think that's so fun.
I can understand that. I do love the driving range. It's playing the actual sport that I struggle with. Do you know what's the longest drive you've been able to do? I mean, if you're competitive, you must keep a track on that.
Oh, see, the problem is I haven't got the best eyesight, so I think I just guess. I just ask someone
All
else
right.
how I went. I usually measure if if it's got a blue like circle around it, and you just got to aim for the same one, or usually whatever mark you can get.
Okay.
I think my best is close to 100. I wouldn't be a pro golfer, but some days I can
Okay.
have a good day.
And how's your tennis? You mentioned tennis. And you're
Yes.
Croatian. Croatia has some very, very famous tennis players, has and had and will continue to have. Are you any good at
Mm.
tennis?
A little bit. I used to be really good when I was back in primary school and slowly trying to bring it back. I think I took a few years break. So, not as good as I was before, but definitely want to build up that skill again.
Well, I don't think you'll be playing any tennis today, but hopefully when it comes around summertime, you can get the tennis racket out again. Izzy, just before we move to the final 10 questions, is there anyone that you'd like to give a shout out to for supporting you along your journey, pageantry and otherwise?
I know a lot of my pageant girlfriends will always support me, even ones that aren't competing with me now. I know my girlfriends that I've been with before, whether that be, the previous Miss Galaxy winners, current Miss Galaxy winners, they've always been the most supportive, like lovely Emily, Alicia, Hannah. And yeah, they have been some of my biggest supporters. And my co-workers are actually some of the most supportive people. They always cheer me on, asking how my competition's going. And of course, my family as well.
Do your co-workers understand pageants? Because sometimes what I find is that when pageant girls try to explain to their co-workers why they're doing a pageant, spending so much time and money into the pageant, they just kind of look confused. So do your co-workers get pageantry, or they kind of like, yeah, that's you, you do you, good for you.
I think most of them try to understand. I think, the way it's represented in the media, and I think a lot of how it's shown, it's
Mm.
reflected like it's about a woman's body, how she looks in a bikini, and that's all it is. But when you explain the background behind it, the opportunity that you have of a platform, the opportunity that you get education, development, growth, and all these networking opportunities, I think people then understand it and they will be supportive of it. But I think as soon as you mention, oh, I'm in Miss Universe, they're like, oh, okay. Like they think it's just on this stage that they don't see what goes into the background of it. But a lot of them have been so understanding and supportive.
Do you have a group of friends and family coming to cheer you on at the actual pageant?
Unfortunately, I don't. My family usually can't make it up to my pageants, but I know they'll be supporting from home because I do live interstate from them.
Right. Okay. I ask because from tennis anyway, I don't know if this is true, but the Croatian fans, let's say they're not quiet. You know when they're a Croatian fan, so that's why I was asking. Where are your family based? You said they're interstate.
Yeah, they're in Canberra, so I
Oh,
originally grew up in
okay.
Canberra.
All right. Well, Izzy, let's go to the final 10 questions. Always end the interview with the same 10. These aren't anything necessarily to do with pageantry, so whatever pops in your mind is a-okay. So, question number one is, what is your favorite word?
My favorite word, it's a tricky one. I think perfect. I think I say it all the time.
I can understand that. Question two, what is your least favorite word?
My least favorite word, disappointing.
In life, what gets you excited or what turns you on?
I think seeing people achieve their goals or being surrounded by people that are very motivated and they're working towards something and just being able to support them along the way and cheer them when they finally reach it.
And what turns you off?
Turns me off is being around a lot of negative people that just the people that won't support you. Say you want to say I said that I wanted to compete in a pageant, people be, oh, you shouldn't do that. It's a waste of time. Don't like being around that.
Question 5. What sound or noise do you love?
So I love popcorn. I'm a big fan of popcorn.
As in the sound of popping corn?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have a favorite flavor of popcorn?
Oh, I think I have to go a bit basic and just do butter and salt. I don't think I'm too big on the sweet.
I'll go with that. Question 6. What sound or noise do you hate?
Chalk. Chalk on a board. I can't stand listening to it.
Not a fan? Not a
No.
fan of that high pitched squeaky noise?
No, I don't think anyone is.
No. Question 7, Izzy. If you could have any one superpower, what would you pick and why?
I think it would be traveling. I think I just love exploring the world and having the opportunity to do it straight away instead of being on a 25-hour flight. I think I would just use that everywhere, every day almost.
And for people watching overseas, if you don't understand that, for us Aussies traveling anywhere, it's a very, very, very long way away. I have a lot of European people who watch and they don't understand because they can jump on a flight within 24 hours for like £30 and travel 2 hours and be in another country. I'm like, if I flew for 2 hours, I could even be in the same state. What's the longest flight that you've ever had, like from beginning to end?
I would say probably to Croatia, but we did stop over in Japan, luckily. But I actually just I was recently a flight attendant, so on the
Oh wow,
topic of
okay.
long flights, I actually used to spend about 12 hours a day on a plane, just back and forth, whether that be to Melbourne, Gold Coast. So yeah, I'm very used to being on planes for the whole day, a few days, you know.
You'd also be very used to being on your feet if you were a flight attendant, which is useful for pageantry. How
Yeah.
was that working in the flight industry during the last 2 or 3 years? I mean, that must have been an absolutely wild time.
Oh my God, it was crazy to see. I think, well, I was thankful that I started just before we had COVID. So I started in 2019, had plenty of
Hmm.
opportunity to go see places. I often flew to like Fiji. I did a lot of Ayers Rock, Gold Coast, Melbourne, like a whole range of flights. And I was super thankful for that opportunity. It was incredibly hard during lockdown because we were some of the most affected people. And it was a lot of hard work. You know, sometimes you'd only get one shift for the month. And I think a lot of
Wow.
us weren't able to get the government support. And it was just a bit hard as well. You know, it's a very tense moment taking people traveling. You know, everyone's a bit worried about COVID and everything. So there was a lot of backlash from passengers quite often. So I think just emotionally being able to handle that was quite a challenge some days. But yeah, I was incredibly lucky that, you know, I still was able to return to work. But even when I was stood down, my
Mhm.
company actually offered me a second opportunity at work, which is how I ended up in finance. So it
Oh,
did turn into a different career path, but you know, I'm grateful that I was provided with the opportunity that I was and that I got to experience. You know, seeing different sunrises from the world. And my favorite thing was seeing kids on their very first flight. You would just see how excited they are looking out the window. You'd give them a little handwritten note and then you'd show them into the flight deck when the flight was done. And it was just the best thing ever. They'd come up to you. They said, I want to be like you when I grow up. Or they'd see the pilots. They'd just be incredibly inspired. And it was so beautiful. And often I'd find myself like babysitting when, say, like a parent needed to go to the
okay.
bathroom. They're like, "Oh, can you just hold my kid?" And I'm like, "Of course." And I'm just sitting there walking down the aisle holding a baby, which was always fun.
It's fun for you. I don't think I'd ever be asked to look after someone's baby. I just have a question because you worked in that industry. What is it like in terms of? I assume from what I've experienced, most girls who work as or men who work as flight attendants, they really enjoy it and they love they love helping people, they love being friendly, but then you occasionally see these stories of passengers being absolutely horrible on flights, whether they're drunk, out of control, abusive. Can you just give people what is it like a day in the life? I know you had a weird time with COVID, but a day in the life typically of a flight attendant, like when are you waking up, then what do you have to do, how long do you have to be on your feet, what time do you get to sleep, and then obviously you're in another city, so then what happens, and then how do you get back, all of that stuff. Can you just give us an insight into that?
Of course. So some days I would wake up at 3:30 a.m., be at
Oh
the
God.
airport by 5 a.m. So we do. Yeah, I know. I don't know how I slept, but yeah, it's a bit tough waking up at that hour. But what we do is, if you're going on a domestic flight, we'll be there an hour before the flight leaves. For international, usually about 2 hours, and you'd run through a briefing.
Mhm.
So obviously, being a flight attendant, we go through a lot of medical training, a lot of security training.
Mm.
So during that briefing, we'll sort of describe what the weather's like. We'll speak with the pilots. We'll have a briefing and then we'll do some security questions just to make sure that everyone's up to date, can answer it. We do our uniform check to make sure they're all ready and we all look beautiful for the day. And then we'll go out onto the plane. We'll do our full security checks, make sure the flight is all good to go. Let's say on a typical day, I'd be doing a lot of Melbourne returns. So
Mhm.
we'd go Sydney to Melbourne, stop off, clean the plane, welcome all the passengers, drop back to Sydney, and then go straight back to Melbourne, do the same thing, and then come home. And sometimes that would be 10, 12 hours a day. And then you could get sometimes, it's a bit unfortunate, but you'd get a last minute overnight flight and you would hope that you packed stuff in your suitcase because I have been stuck my second week on the job. We had to stop and stay over in the Whitsundays, which I mean I wasn't complaining about. It's a beautiful place to stay,
Yeah,
but I was
it's not a
very
bad place
much
to be
a
stuck.
rookie. Yeah, I was unfortunately quite the rookie that I forgot to bring anything in my suitcase. I just packed my wet weather jacket, which is not needed for Queensland. So I had to rush down to Early Beach, try to pick up some clothes, some makeup, a toothbrush. But the makeup that I picked, I somehow picked an electric blue mascara. So I went to get dressed for work the other day, put on my mascara, blue eyelids, and I was like, okay, maybe we can't do this. You got to fix your hair, make sure your flyaways are gone. And yeah, it's just you've always got to be prepared for any situation. Thankfully, most days, it's a good day. It's fun. You get to see maybe the sunrise or the sunset. You see some of the most
Mm.
incredible views, like even flying to Tasmania, the most beautiful views of the islands. But one also interesting fact is that almost you will never work with the same people ever again. There are so many staff. So on in your
Oh
briefing,
wow.
let's say I worked on a bigger aircraft, so our
Mm.
321s, we would have our two pilots. So we'd have a captain and a first officer, and then we'd have about five or six flight attendants. And often it'd be your very first time meeting them. And some of them become your best friend at the end of the day. You spend the whole
Yeah.
day chatting with them, working with them. So you just make instant friends. And then, given how many staff there are, you might not work with them again for maybe 9 months or so. So, yeah, it
Wow.
was pretty interesting. So, yeah, it's definitely sort of challenging to adjust yourself to be able to make friends every single day. Like, always be ready,
Mm.
be awake, and the amount of things that you have to practice for, like any medical emergency can happen. Like, flight attendants are trained how to deliver babies. So, if it were to happen, we'd be there, we'd be ready to help. But I think there's a lot of stigma behind flight attendants, people thinking that we're just waitresses in the sky, but it's so
Mm.
much more than that. Like the amount that you trained in, like I went through 6 weeks of intensive training and then you do yearly retraining. So yeah, your flight attendants, they do a lot. So you should definitely be kind to them and yeah, make their day easier.
Too bad you can't actually tip them, unlike
And
wait staff. So first thing I want to take from that is if anyone at the pageant suddenly has to, deliver a baby, just find Izzy. She'll be able to help you.
They're right
But
here.
secondly, see, I have a very good friend who was one of my co-hosts on the UK podcast, and she recently moved to Dubai to train as an air hostess. I think she's finished now successfully. And I was blown away by the training she had to do. I think it was for Emirates, and she had to do uh, tell me if you've done this. So I saw a video of her jumping out the rubber chute. So if the plane makes an emergency landing, the rubber slide, and
Yeah.
there was a video of her having to go down there with her arms crossed. Apparently, a lot of her friends just got to the bottom and face planted. So have you done that?
Yeah. So we had that training. We had a big day of training like that. So what you'd had to do before was build a raft, and you had to build it as a team. And then we had to go and do our slide training, which is from one of the 787s and like the bigger
Yeah,
aircraft. So it was a much taller
yeah.
slide than what you'd be used to. And like I don't have a fear of heights, but I do have a fear of face planting. So what they had said was you need to start running as soon as you get down. You got to put your feet down. You got to start running. And I was just so worried. So for the first one is like a normal evacuation where it's not really too rushed. Is you just sit
Hmm.
down, put your hands on your knee, and you just slide down. And then the second one, like I know a lot of people were sort of freaking out in my group. The second one, they were like, "Oh, we'll count you down because you need to jump." And they're like, "We'll count down to three." And then they were like three, and I just jumped because I didn't want to wait anymore sitting out there. So I slid straight down and I was running. But yeah, unfortunately, a few of my friends had face planted. Thankfully, they were all right.
Ouch.
But yeah, and then we had to do water training straight after, which was we had a
Yep.
rain room as well. So you'd do fully clothed, you'd be in the water with your
Yep.
life jackets, and you'd have to drag someone across swimming. And then we had to build a raft, and then you had to climb into the raft. And if you didn't climb in, you didn't get the job. So, oh my God, it was so stressful. So I'm
That's a
climbing at the
bit
top.
pressure for.
I climbed up the top and then I fell back into the water and I was like, oh no, no, like this is it. As I climbed all the way back up and thankfully I made it in. And then they put down fake rain and you had to build the whole tent. And oh my God, it was quite the day.
Because I remember seeing another photo of my co-host, and she can't swim. And there was a photo of her in the life jacket, in her clothing, and she looked absolutely miserable. Um, you also sound like you'd be an expert at building a raft. I mean, if there's ever
Oh
like a
yeah,
reality TV / pageant show where you got to build a raft to get off the island, sounds like you're the go-to girl for that.
I'm ready. Yeah, yeah. We got taught how to survive in the water, how to survive on land if you ever deserted. If you ever need medical help, anything like that, you need
Oh well.
firefighting, I've got you.
Okay. Okay. So whenever they ask that pageant question, if you were stuck on a deserted island, who would you bring with you? You guys have to pick Izzy because she's the one that's actually going to make sure that you survive.
But
The last one I want to ask you about, because again I saw this on my friend's Instagram, she was doing pressure point training, as in like how to restrain, I guess, unruly passengers or something like that. Did you have to go through anything like that?
we did, yeah. There's quite the process on board for if we ever have any unruly passengers, and you do
Mm.
have sort of the ability to restrain them at points. But yeah, there's quite a few security processes in place for that, which is quite an interesting training to do. You have to sort of arrest your co-workers as a trial
I don't
practice.
know. That could be kind of fun depending on who the coworker is, right? I mean, if
Yeah.
someone being really annoying you, it could actually be kind of fun.
Exactly. But at least they do it in a safe way. Like, there's if you ever were restrained, we do check that it's not cutting off your blood pressure or anything like that. And yeah, we have had a few people that we have had to kick off flights. So yeah, a few people
Oh
that have
wow.
chosen to be a bit too aggressive. And I would
Oh wow. Okay.
definitely strongly recommend it away from it because it is a federal offence and the police do take it very seriously if you choose to be aggressive to like flight attendants or any flight staff.
I'm surprised to hear that you actually had to kick people off because I figured in Australia most people would be fairly civil. All the unruly passenger stories I've seen in the news, they've all been in America. It's not been in
Yeah.
Australia. So I'm surprised to hear that. You're a good person to ask this. What's your favorite travel destination? You said
Okay.
to cycle back to the final 10 questions, you wanted the power to be able to travel anywhere pretty much instantly. So we'll say teleportation. If you could click your fingers and teleport right now, where would you want to be?
I really want to travel to Mauritius. I think it looks like a beautiful country. It'll be so pretty. Or back to Croatia. I know it's very biased, but I think just the water is so beautiful and just the way of life there.
That's perfect. All right. Well, we got slightly sidetracked there, but that's okay. That was the final. We're going through the final 10. That was your superpower question. Let's go. I'm trying not to backtrack. So, question 8. What job, other than your own, would you most like to attempt?
Oh, do you know what I'd love to do? Be a weather person. I think it would just be so fun to report the weather. Just being able to be on news. I believe that'd be an interesting one to do.
You mean you want to be one of the people in front of the blue screen pointing at weather cells, or you want to be one of the people outside
Yeah.
when there's a tornado and having to report that it's pretty windy before you get blown away? Like the person inside or the person
Like
outside?
the first one. Yeah, the person inside. I
Okay.
don't know how pretty I'd look in a tornado.
I don't think anyone looks particularly pretty in tornadoes, but there's all these YouTube clips of poor weather people outside. You know, there's a tornado or a huge wave, and then a huge wave wipes them out, and the person in the studio is like, "Oh, we've seem to have lost contact with our weather person." All right, you wouldn't have much to report on right now. I mean, if you've seen the weather, the cloud over Sydney, it's just rain, 100%
Yeah.
rain. There's not
Yeah.
much to say. It's gonna rain. That's the weather forecast right now.
Yeah.
Question 9. What job would you definitely not like to attempt?
Oh, what job? I would have to say, I think being someone that cleans portaloos, I just couldn't do it. I respect them for what they do. I know it's an incredibly hard job. And yeah, I just don't think that's something that I could attempt.
You know, that's actually the most common answer given to that question by pageant girls is some form of cleaning toilets or cleaning garbage. It seems to be a popular choice as to, I don't want to do that job. I can't say I don't blame you. Can't say I blame you. Final question. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
I think I would love to hear that I'm proud of what you've achieved and what you left in this world. Whether that was help inspire people, help improve anyone's way of life, anything like that. I think that would just mean a lot.
Sounds good to me. Well, Izzy, that's about it. Thank you so much for your time and coming on.
Thank you so much. It was so much fun.
I'll need to ask you for more travel tips. As you mentioned, the Galaxy Girls are some of your closest friends, and they're all, including myself, we're all traveling to Texas in less than a month's time. That's a bit of a long flight, but yeah, be good to catch up with all of them. Izzy, I'll keep you on the line for just a second whilst I hang up with the audience. But thanks to everyone for watching, whether it's live or on the replay, and we will speak to you next time. Bye for now. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Sorority Access is now open, so if you'd like to join an amazing group of women and learn how to be the most powerful, confident, and impactful queen possible, head to thepageantsorority.com. I'll see you there and see you in the next video.